It is Smooth Tim and Larry E. And thank you all for tripping in with us on another hump day on Tim's Tidbits. What's going on, Larry?
Same old, man. Just trying to strive to stay alive, to survive, to move forward, to exercise, train,
That is what it is all about. Any day, every day is a struggle. That is the trouble anymore. Every day is a struggle. There's something going on absolutely freaking everywhere. It doesn't make our life any day easier. Now they're talking about what the government may be going to shut down for a while on the 30th, so we'll see. These morons still can't. We talked about that last week, that they're going to be losing some stuff, and now, hey, you think they'd care by now. I think it hurts the Republican Party more than the Democrats, but hey, whatever. Anyhow, hey, you know what? Let's get on to the show. There is speaking of the Republicans, there's a organization they call Project 25. Have you heard about this yet?
Mm-mm.
So what it is, it's directly related to the 2025 elections coming up, right? And they have some expectations of what they would like to see the government actually look like. So let's take a look at this and come on back.
Reports on the plan laid out by a Project 2025, a government in waiting for Trump's return. Quote, the idea is to have the civic infrastructure in place on day one to commandeer, reshape, and do away with what Republicans deride as the deep state, firing as many as 50,000 federal workers. The goal is to oust employees they believe are standing in the way of the president's agenda and replacing them with like-minded individuals. That should sound familiar since it's directly linked to Donald Trump's authoritarian plans overall. The New York Times reported in July that Trump and his associates have a broader goal: to alter the balance of power by increasing the president's authority over every part of the federal government that now operates by either law or tradition, with any measure of independence from political interference by the White House. Numerous former Trump officials are involved with Project 2025. And look, it's not some shadowy behind-the-scenes effort. It's been open about its plans to gut worker protections and dismantle environmental protections. It includes their plans to make pushing right-wing Christianity the federal government's job. It's all in there in the nearly 1,000-page playbook calling on the next president to maintain a, quote, biblically based social science reinforced definition of marriage and family. As Guthrie Graves Fitzsimmons writes for MSNBC, concerns about policies of this kind aren't only about the possible return of Donald Trump to office. This is about the next Republican president, whoever it may be, is going to be pushing Christian nationalism.
Donald Trump has said that if he comes into office, he will pardon the January 6th insurrectionists. But let's take another step further. Let's say that he comes back in and there's something like that again.
Right.
He can order, under these new plans, he could order the Justice Department to not prosecute people who attack his political enemies. He could encourage it. Part of this is taking control of the whole federal criminal justice system. So that's what they want to do. It's in the book. The people have been talking about this outside of this project. So he would be able to create his own shock troops and then give them impunity to do whatever he wants to in order to retain power. It really causes the mind to reel if you think about what future elections and politics will look like if one person is given that much power.
Given that much power. Yeah, one man can't have all that power, and it would turn stand back and stand by from just a catchphrase to actual policy. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Civil war all over again.
Sounds crazy, doesn't it?
Man,
it's like a dictatorship. That's what they want to create, is a dictatorship under a
Republican rule,
a theological society.
It's like this whole country is going to implode and explode all at one time. It's gonna be a mess. So if people are not voting, and this would be a time to vote, because you're not only voting against Trump. If you don't like him, I have no problem with Trump. I have a problem with his personality. And his way to manipulate people in a way that he benefits from, only himself. So that's not what I want. That's not what I like outside of the president, outside of politics. I don't like people like that.
No, that's not what I'm looking for. But I want to take us a step further, Larry, and I want you to listen to this idealism that they want to propose for the government.
We begin tonight with a terrifying concept.
A frightening article.
They're calling it Project 2025.
Incredibly important reporting people need to pay attention to.
This plan that they want to put in place if the Republican Party wins the presidency upon the inauguration.
According to the New York Times, those plans include bringing independent agencies under direct presidential control.
It's kind of being pitched under the guise of dismantling the administrative state.
They say they would plan to do this with any Republican president.
It's about deregulation. It's about deconstructing the administrative state.
There's a network of conservative groups who are backing this effort, like the Heritage Foundation.
Take this very seriously. Don't think this is a joke.
It is incredibly alarming.
Frightening development.
You don't have to be a civics dork to know that you don't want that.
We've never seen anything like this in American history.
Now explore their pledge.
There's a set of televangelists who are absolutely convinced that God talks to them, and he said that Donald Trump is going to win the 2020 election. Seemed like they were obviously lying about God talking to them, right? They absolutely refuse to give it up. They've only been emboldened by being wrong about it. They're set out to prove to everybody around them that they were correct all along and that the United States is a Christian nation. Here's where it gets weird. Some of these guys held a big rally recently. And they came up with a decree that they want everybody in the United States to repeat, especially government officials. Let me just give you a sample of it. It's crazy.
We decree that America's executive branch of government will honor God and defend the Constitution. We decree that our legislative branch, Congress, will write only laws that are righteous and constitutional. We decree that our judicial system will issue rulings that are biblical and constitutional. We declare that we stand against wokeness, the occult, and every evil attempt against our nation.
Anyways, it gets weirder from there.
How can it get any weirder from there? Can you believe that pledge they want these people to go through?
Man, that's ridiculous, man. That's ridiculous and it's scary because they actually believe in that crap. You know, the United States has progressed into a more of how can I say, a more of a freedom country with the.
I think it's becoming very conservative and theological.
They're trying to get it back more conservative, but it's not like it used to be.
What bothers me most about that is when you try to propose this type of a government. I believe that's why the Pilgrims fled, is it not? Because of religious persecution. You know, this is how we want you to practice your religion. This is what we think the foundation of law should be governed on. And their disagreement led them to America because they wanted the freedom to live life like they wanted to live.
Who originally separated religion from state anyway? Am I right? Didn't they happened a long time ago where they separated both of them?
I don't think there's necessarily in the Constitution anywhere that says that there's a separation between church and state. I don't think it's written in I don't think it's written in there that the church has any authority over the government, and I don't think that there's anything vice versa that the government has any type of leverage over the church. I don't believe there's anything that really addresses that particular issue, except, maybe for, tax purposes and that kind of stuff.
Well, churches are usually funded or government-funded organizations anyway. Am I correct? From tithes and offerings from the people, and then the government.
That's independent. That's why they don't have to pay taxes. They don't pay taxes because they're independent of the government, right?
Man, they're crazy, man. But you know what? Then they talking about the Constitution. If you actually look at the Constitution, a lot of people's constitutional rights have been infringed upon since they have been established, especially people of color. I know that for a fact. A lot of those constitutions, I've seen them being walked across and justice not being upheld for lots of people in our country. And we all know who they are. And it's getting ridiculous because the first people they're going to target when they start targeting people, when they start doing this, are people of color. I know
it really
that for a fact.
I can see if you go into a society like that, if you would propose a society like that, now you're talking about, you know, I don't want any Muslims. I don't want anybody that, you know, practices any other religion than Christianity.
Yeah, and like the
And
Bible.
what are you going to make it illegal? What are you going to shut down the other churches? I mean, how are you going to make that happen?
Yeah, if we go back to when the Bible was first actually used as a weapon, it was used during slavery. So you got to understand that that's how I've read the Bible a few times, but then you know the history of the Bible from how it was in America. I don't know how it was used in other countries, but it was used as a way to suppress people in America. So you start talking about constitutions, we're going to enforce the Constitution. I'm scared because the Constitution has not been enforced for the American citizens.
You think it has not been applied evenly?
No, it has not been evenly for American citizens. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then, like anybody who supports the people who are not getting true justice or getting support from the Constitution, they're being alienated also. So it's like the liberal people, they're going to get thrown under the bus. The immigrants are going to get thrown under the bus. It's going back to like, I'm saying this from what I'm looking at, what I'm hearing. They're looking at if you're rich or if you're white, or if you consider, because that one guy said American citizens than black people. I was like, damn. So I'm looking at what he said and what I see and how those laws and how the Republicans take over, how they're going to interpret it and how they're going to use their power.
A lot of the time, think about it. Think about how weird it can get when you want to sit there and say, for instance, abortion law, and they're talking about throwing it all back to the states, right? And Texas, for instance, now if somebody would go out of state to get an abortion in Texas, now they've committed a crime, and anybody that knew about that particular abortion has committed a crime.
What about these crimes these politicians?
And it's like, you know, that's crazy.
What about the political crimes they're committing?
But
nobody's holding them accountable.
And I could live next to the border, so you know, I could step across the street into the next state to get an abortion, and I've committed a crime.
Man, you know what? That's one thing I say is I came back and I found my wife and my family, but that's the only thing I regret is when I got out the military, I came back to Texas because I wasn't as smart. Forget being woke. I wasn't abreast on when it comes to politics and how this whole thing works. Now, me being older, I see it. You know, I heard about it. Now I'm actually seeing it, living through it. And I made a bad. I should have, you know, you did smart by leaving.
I enjoyed my time in Texas. We was down there almost 8-10 years. I don't know, whatever it particularly was, but in that, I enjoyed my time down there. But then again, you know, when we decided to relocate back up north, it was around the Great Lakes for a lot of different purposes, and some of it was just the environment. It's a little bit more open. You know, it's not necessarily conservative and it's not necessarily liberal, but then the resources around here with the Great Lakes and everything else just knocks the snot out of Texas. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just very disappointed in the state, the politicians, disappointed in the Republicans, even Democrats, because Democrats are they're with them. You know, if you got your hand in a pot of money, no matter what anybody say, if the Republicans win office, the Democrats are going to follow suit. They're going to be with them too. Then they're going to give us this back and forth thing like they really care. But as long as they get their check, they're going to go through Republicans and go with this dictatorship that they're trying to put on us. But it's going to be a war. It's going to be bad.
You may be right.
I hope it's not why I'm alive, but it's going to get bad.
But you know, there's one guy. Let's get it. That says he could keep us out of a war. Obviously, he's good buddies with you know, both Putin and Chen, whatever. You know, so he's claiming he can keep us out of a war. But did you see he was on the news the other night and he was talking? He had an interview, and I think, you know, I'm surprised that his lawyers aren't jumping out the window.
Was it on 60 Minutes?
And, right. And during the interview, you know, he was asked, I'll play the interview, but he was asked, you know, in regards to about the January 6th insurrection and did he follow the directions of his lawyers, which would be smart because then you could always throw the lawyers under the bus. But
yep, that's what you do.
But I guess Donald's not smart enough to throw his lawyers under a bus.
The most senior lawyers in your own administration and on your campaign told you that after you'd lost more than 60 legal challenges, that it was over. Why did you ignore them and decide to listen to a new outside group?
Because I didn't respect them.
Were you calling the shots, though, Mr. President, ultimately?
As to whether or not I believed it was rigged, oh, sure. It was my decision, but I listened to some people. Some people said that.
I mean, it's insane that in the year of our Lord 2023, we're still debating this. And he is, as you mentioned, Phil, 10, 20, 40 points in Iowa ahead of his GOP rivals. This is a man who tried to overturn our democracy. And by the way, I mean, a lot of the polls show him kind of head to head with Joe Biden. If he loses, what's to say he won't do it again? And if he wins, that's a whole other Pandora's box of problems for our country.
Harold, it also complicates the defense efforts. I mean, all his attorneys were coming on the air after this indictment saying there's nothing wrong with following the advice of legal counsel.
That's right. In fact, it's a pretty good defense, actually. But if you throw it away on national television, that is no longer available to you. Or at a minimum, you're setting yourself up for a very uncomfortable cross-examination in these criminal charges.
Right, because he did also say he would testify at a christening.
That's right. He said he would testify. He will have, like I said, a very difficult cross-examination. He also sort of just like layered, one statement on top of another, saying that he might have pardoned himself. He might pardon himself in the future. He might pardon half the people who got convicted on January 6th for those violations. He really sort of put front and center an issue that, believe me, Donald Trump does not want the conduct of his attacks on democracy to become a central issue in this next election. He's not going to win that debate.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to quit, Tim.
Sometimes he just needs to learn to shut up. I think we've talked about that before. That,
you know what? It just dawned on me what they said.
If he could just keep his mouth shut.
Yeah, and you know what? It just dawned on me that if he loses this election, he can run again and run again and run again. Because he only served one term in office.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens, because, some states are talking about, since he has these felony charges against him, keeping him entirely off of the ballot.
I'm like, why would you not?
I wanted to see what would happen if there are some states that keep him off the ballot, what will happen? And,
I don't think they'll do that. Biden, he has his hangups, with him. They say his age or whatever. Trump is what? 60, I don't know.
I think Trump's maybe 5 years younger than Biden, not by
yeah.
much.
So it's all just it is what it is. I'm like, but the thing about it is, Trump, he's just not a good president. He doesn't belong there, man. It's just not his calling. It's not his calling. He tried, and it was horrible. It was horrible. I'm like, just quit, bro.
And this whole waste of time going after Biden with the indictment investigations right now. So come on, stop wasting your time.
Never seen so much mudslinging, so back and forth with.
It's a bunch of childish stuff, and the only thing it's doing is really costing us.
We look like idiots. These are our leaders, and they're making us look like fools. I'm like, I know some black people that don't even know nothing about politics, and they're like, man, I'm embarrassed about what's going on.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Larry. At least one individual, and I know you know this gentleman, Mitt Romney. Mitt's out of Utah now. He's been all over the place. He made a run for president some years ago, but let's listen to what Mitt has to say.
Just don't think that we need another person in their 80s. I'm a little long of tooth already. We don't need more like me.
The 76-year-old has been in the public eye nearly his whole life, the son of Michigan Governor George Romney. He served as the CEO of the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City and governor of Massachusetts. After one failed run for president in 2008, Romney became the Republican nominee in 2012, the first Mormon to lead a ticket. But after he lost to President Obama, his brand of moderate politics became an outlier in the GOP. When Romney won Utah's open Senate seat in 2018, he became one of the few Republicans to speak out against Trump. He is the only Republican senator who voted to convict Trump in both of his impeachment trials.
Were I to ignore the evidence that has been presented and disregard what I believe my oath and the Constitution demands of me for the sake of a partisan end, it would, I fear, expose my character to history's rebuke and the censure of my own conscience.
Well, what do you think about Mitt? You believe that statement to be true? It's time for
He
a new
might just
generation
doing
of
that
leaders.
so he could become president. I don't know. It could be just be some. He get rid of Trump, and then maybe somebody that he's backing can slide in there and do something for him. It's just all ridiculous. You don't ever know how these are politicians.
Oh,
you can't really.
I believe I believe Mitt is going to retire. Would he make a run for president? I don't know that he's going to do that, but I can see him supporting some off the wall candidate that might come along.
I believe he would convict Trump, because what he said with his oath and everything like that, I kind of feel that. And I think every politician should stand behind that.
That's how every politician should feel.
They should stand on that. What they did to the nation's capital, what Trump did when he
was wrong.
It was wrong. I'm like, everybody should have been offended. Black, white, anybody that's American citizen and knows our history in the United States, they should be offended, whether they're pro politics, pro whatever, whatever it goes, what they stand for. They should be offended because that's history, and everybody's a part of the history. That's an American citizen, black, white, anybody that's here that helped the ancestors that were here when all that was developed and had this country was developed. That is a part of our history. No one should deface that. It was vandalized by a bunch of grown individuals, and it's just ridiculous. And they call themselves American citizens. Embarrassing.
And where's your real roots?
They don't have no roots. Those are irrational thinking people, and they just act accordingly. They just simple minded and easy to influence, and Trump used them. And then now he's, well, I wasn't with him. Accomplice. One of Martin Luther King would have told all them black people to tear up some shit. Prime example. When they marched down there, the march they did, they could have went down and tore up that whole thing. They could have tore that whole thing up, and no one could have done anything. There was too many, but it was civil. And any other marches they did, even Malcolm X, all those other black leaders did all kinds of horrible things to this country, to the Capitol or whatever, but they did.
It gets upsetting when you think about it. I've had a lot of families that fought in the Revolutionary War, and I had some family that was lost in that war. I had families that fought in the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, the World War I, World War II, Korea. And you think about all their idealisms were different, and a lot of it, but the basic of it all was, don't tread on me, let me have my own way of thinking, my own way of life. Let me be a free man.
Yeah.
And it just seems like, where's that philosophy? We've been fighting for this particular thing for 500 years. I mean, what's going on? Where's the whole basic idea of freedom?
And it's still a power struggle. It's a power struggle between Republicans, the Democrats, the House, the Senate, judicial. I always mess the word up. Executive branches, all the branches struggle between neighborhoods and cities and states, and it's
judicial, executive, and legislative.
I always mess those up every time.
Judicial, executive, and legislative branches.
I know what they are, though. So I know what they are, but it's still a struggle, a power struggle. Who's in control? Who's in charge? Owns it? Who owns the country? The taxpayers own the country.
In reality, they do, but that's not how it works, and we both.
That's who runs the country. Taxpayers, the blue collars. You got some white collars. You got the 1%. But at the end of the day, if all those people that work minimum wage or whatever they work, the retail stores, the hospitals, the schools, the major organizations that keep this country moving forward, if they went on strike, we would have nothing.
Well, look what's going to happen with the UAW strike. So they're here in Toledo. We're in Toledo, Ohio, so they're striking right here in Toledo, right, just up the highway from us, a Jeep. And so
General Motors is striking down here. So they're on strike.
Yeah. So that means no Wranglers, people. Yeah. You're not going to be getting your Wrangler this year.
So, the writers are on strike when it comes to like the celebrity, the commercials and the sitcoms. They're on strike. The comedy writers on strike.
But there has to be a better line, some type of better line. And I understand between corporate greed, your shareholder greed. I want to be making my return on investment, and I understand that particular standpoint. We do need people to invest in these particular productions so that we can keep going, right? That's
right.
But, where do you draw a line between, I'm overworking and underpaying my labor and I'm thinking too much about profits?
Man, people are smarter now. It's like people know their worth. So they want to get paid for what they're worth.
Mm-hmm.
They know what the companies are making. They know these companies are making big bucks. They know these companies are sending their kids these colleges and having these vacations. They know that stuff, and they're still getting paid pennies.
Right.
So, but our country has to understand that this is the crazy part, It doesn't matter if you pay your employee more money; they're going to use that money to put back in the economy.
Yeah.
Period.
And we've talked about that before too.
The money goes right back into the economy.
Why do you end some of these programs that are keeping people in work? Now it takes them off of work, so now they're a bigger strain on the government.
The money goes back into the economy. So at the end of the day, pay people what they're owed, pay them for what they're worth, and then let the money come back to you. It's going to recycle and reciprocate. So just stop. And it kills me how they so petty. God damn, just pay.
Let's move on to money. Speaking of freaking money, did you hear what
happened?
Oh my
God, here we go, some money.
Money. Did you hear what happened in Vegas?
Oh
yeah. They had like a ransomware attack.
A report says Caesars Entertainment and MGM Resorts International got hacked by a group called Scattered Spider. Late last month, Caesars Entertainment reportedly paid tens of millions of dollars to the hackers after a cyber attack. The report says the hacking group also demanded a ransom from MGM. MGM Resorts says it was forced to shut down some casino and hotel computer systems after a cybersecurity issue was discovered just this week. The FBI is now investigating that MGM attack.
A Russian hacking network provided the ransomware used to a group known as Scattered Spider, reportedly based in the U.S. and Europe. The Financial Times reports the hackers originally tried to manipulate slot machine software at MGM Grand. They were unsuccessful, but then tried to hack the resort system in exchange for money.
There's a good chance that they're going to get paid because they need to get those operations back up and running as soon as possible. They're losing tremendous amounts of money.
The hacking group extorted the resort Caesars Palace by obtaining personal information of their loyalty members, the resort paying out $15 million.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Well, you know what? They extort people anyway. They people go to casinos, get the money stolen. People are set up to lose in the casino, so now they losing back.
What's interesting is what did they say? They hacked their loyalty members. So I mean, that would be, I don't know if you've ever been to a casino, and you become a loyalty member by going into the casino, that you get points awarded.
Free rooms,
that kind of BS. Yeah. So now they know a whole bunch of information because they swipe your driver's license, right, to gather that information. So they've got all that information off of these, how many hundreds of thousand people probably. And it's out there on the dark web.
That's what casinos are dirtier than lower than politicians.
So I can see now, now you're going to be getting, and I know other people that's had that happen. Well, now you can get that TransUnion and what is it,
Equifax TransUnion.
Yeah, we'll give you that, free for a year of monitoring credit.
It don't work. They're going to hack that too.
They
don't hack the whole casino. If you hack a whole casino, which casinos are connected with the mob, to politicians, casinos are more connected with
connections, more connections than you might want.
They're connected to the biggest crooks in the world. So if you hack a crook like that means you don't give a damn about hacking nobody else's crap.
Well, they're talking about it being a Russian-based organization with satellites here in the U.S. and other places. So
Russians, they don't play around. Them Russians. No, I heard about Russians.
So
you don't want to see action movies; they'll mess you up.
Yeah, I watch some action movies. You don't want to mess with the Russians. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, leave them alone. Who's Ukraine fighting with?
Ukraine, Russia, Putin. Yeah.
See, there you go. You don't want to. Russians don't care. They invade. They'll step on you and keep going and look at you crazy.
Yeah, he's pleading for money and stuff. He was in the UN today or yesterday, and I think he's coming. today, I believe he was at the White House begging for more arms, more money to blow
Putin
up.
was at our White House?
No. Ukraine, I forget his name. The Ukraine leader, president.
How long has this war been going on? For the last, 2 or 3 years?
A couple of years, yeah. Almost 3 years, I think. I don't know. Damn, it seems like forever, though, don't it?
Yeah, it doesn't, man. Somebody got to just say, hey, bro, it ain't working. How they even, they took over, 5 yards? Or they got moved forward 3 acres or something? What's the whole purpose? They fighting them. They should get those leaders together and fight. Yeah,
Spending money, that's all I can figure. Spending money, it's just crazy. Kill off people. Chill out, that's what they need to do. Speaking of chilling out and things that need to change, some NFL players are not too happy. Did you watch the football game the other night when Rodgers went down?
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what, and I'd like your opinion on this because you're a football player.
In a state with cold and very unpredictable weather, you can find a lot of these. From high schools to the home of the Vikings, turf is popular. But is it with athletes?
It's certainly a topic of discussion, and it feels like it is almost every year.
I brought my questions to Minnetonka native and Super Bowl champion Bo Allen.
You played 7 years in the NFL. What's your take on artificial turf fields?
I'm not a fan of artificial fields. I played on a bunch of them. We had some in Minnetonka High School back in the day. You know, it just feels different. It's harder on your joints, and the artificial turf kind of catches. It feels stickier at times.
It affects the body differently, too. According to a study from the university hospitals in Ohio, 58% of the athletes from 26 high schools were more likely to get hurt on turf. And the study found that football players were at a significantly higher risk. However, the Synthetic Turf Council says that synthetic turf significantly improves safety, playability, and appearance. They say that there are 8,000 different facilities with turf across North America.
I don't think I've ever heard of any players that are adamantly, supporting artificial turf. You wish that the NFL would have player safety at more of a forefront, like I guess FIFA apparently does.
FIFA has banned turf in the 2026 World Cup, which will be played in Canada, Mexico, and the United States. This follows a push that started a long time ago from players. So the question really remains, will the NFL follow suit?
What's your thoughts about artificial turf, Larry?
I prefer grass. See, I grew up kind of old school. We played on grass, and grass just smells better, it feels better. It just, both grasses. But at the end of the day, man, turf is not natural. And I actually try to go run on turf. You can't even run on turf like you can. It's not natural at all.
It feels different, right, under your foot.
Yeah, and like I say, guys got the armbands. It's different because it's not grass.
Yeah, because you get freaking rug burns.
Yeah, turf is great for certain things, but it's great for golf. It's not great for hot.
Yeah, it is a plastic. So, when you have that friction, I mean, you can get a burn when you're tackled on grass, right?
Yes.
But when you're on turf and there's absolutely no give in that turf, you're just dragging your arm and face or whatever across, plastic. So what do you think's going to happen?
And then like cleats are naturally adapt to being in the grass and dirt because it digs into it and it's natural. And I know why the NFL doesn't want to use grass.
Why?
Because it's not cost efficient. If you think about this, think about how much they really have to pay to maintain their grass. Think about that. That football field as big as it is.
I don't know.
Maintain it.
Now here's another little trivia thing. There's a farm down the road from us, and it's a place called Signet, Ohio, and it's called Signet Turf, and that's what they do is they make turf, or they grow turf for these natural fields, and you'll see them with these big machines, and they'll have big rolls of turf, big semi trucks, and they're just shipping this turf out all over the country.
But I'm telling you, it's cheaper just to have it's turf. It's cheaper to have like artificial turf.
Because could you imagine? I would imagine that's not cheap for these people, to buy that product from them.
Yeah, that's why the NFL does it. They do it because it's cost efficient, and NFL is a business. And how many businesses actually really care about the safety of their employees when it's not costing them money? They only care about the safety of their employees when it's costing them money. If it's not costing them money, they don't care about their safety. And they only do safety measures because OSHA requires them to have safety measures in place. OSHA doesn't require them. They don't require them to follow OSHA's form, but OSHA said this is the bare minimum. But you got to have this, but you can always take away from an ad or whatever.
You dogging out businesses like they just
NFL's a
don't. They
business,
just don't
man.
care
I'm like,
about their employees. You almost
NFL's a business.
You almost
It's just
sound like
not-
you're a shareholder and don't pay your employees.
Yeah, I'm just saying NFL. And I'm telling you something. Politics is politics, okay, but business is business, and that's the bottom line. I'm like, if you're a business owner into business, your objective is to make sure you don't. It's 3 rules in business that I learned from these business guys I work with. 3 rules: don't lose money, don't lose money, don't lose money. So you got to do what you got to do to avoid losing money, because any business that's losing money is not a good business, and it's a business that will not last long. So the NFL is investing in that turf to make sure they continue to make money, because they probably got to spend, ain't no telling the hundreds and thousands. Because then look at this. If it's an NFL, so you know the people they're buying it from is going to upcharge you, because you know they got the money.
It's probably a bit.
So,
well, I think, you have some forgiveness, even if you start a business for like the first couple of years, because they expect you to make a little bit of a loss. And then, after that, they expect to see some income coming out of that instead of a bunch of write-offs.
yeah, you got to be a fool to start a business. And then this is going to sound cold, because I'm pro people too. I'm pro blue collar. I'm pro people that work hard. But you got to be a fool to start a business and expect that your employees are going to make more than what your business is going to make. That's not what business is about, bro.
You're right. Yeah,
Well, you selling weed,
it's about staying out of the red.
Yeah, it's about you having your own business, being your own man or woman, having your own little thing, and then bringing people into organizations for it to grow, and then they can grow with you to a certain point. But at the end of the day, you're not going to go broke taking care of your employees.
You're right.
You just ain't going to do it.
I'll tell you what. I got a little piece here for us now, because sometimes Larry and I actually do care, don't we, Larry? About the people that are listening. We really, truly do. So occasionally, I like to come up with something original, and I found this, and it's a home hack that I think everybody could use. This is for real, and this is courtesy and compliments of Smooth Tim and Larry E.
Many common pests die when they come into direct contact with Dawn dish soap that's been diluted in water. The soapy water is thought to wash away a bug's protective coating, so the pest dries out and dies. There are many ways to use Dawn dish soap depending on what you are trying to get rid of, and generally it's a better alternative to commercial insecticidal products. Let's take a look at the best ways to use it against pests. 1. Ants. If you have ants or other bugs around the house, pour a 50-50 mixture of Dawn dish soap and water into an empty spray bottle, and when you see the insects, spray them with the mixture. Provided you really saturate those little critters, the soap actually breaks down their exoskeletons, and they die almost immediately. 2. Flies. Take a jar and fill it half, or a third full of apple cider vinegar. Next, gently mix in a few squirts dish soap, maybe a teaspoon amount, so there are no bubbles. Then, leave it on your counter overnight near where you see them. In the morning there will be drowned fruit flies in the bottom of it. If the first night doesn't catch them, make a fresh batch the next day to catch the stragglers. 3. Moles. Dawn dish soap can be used to get rid of ground moles. Start by mixing about 4 ounces of castor oil with a teaspoon of the dishwashing liquid. Put this into a common garden spray bottle and add water until you have completely filled the bottle. It should be warm or hot water to make sure that the mixture mixes well, and you should shake vigorously after you have combined the blend. Now, all you need to do is go around your yard spraying the mixture of oil and soap. You don't need to be excessive about it, but you should make sure that you have liberally used it across the yard. 4. Wasps. If you are already dealing with a wasp infestation around your home and garden, an easy home remedy for wasps is soapy water. Soapy water can be an effective home remedy for getting rid of wasps, and is also an environmentally friendly option for wasp management. Small hanging nests can be dealt with by spraying soapy water, as this method gets rid of the wasp infestation by suffocating them. The soap will clog their spiracles, the pores that they breathe through, and will kill them almost immediately. To kill wasps with soapy water, mix 2 tablespoons of dish soap in a spray bottle, or hose end sprayer, and fill it with water. You will want to spray the wasp nest in the morning or evening when wasp activity is lowest, otherwise, you could risk agitating the hive.
Isn't that nice how we care? And that's some great ideas, though, for Dawn. Kill you ants, ground moles, wasps. Did you know that?
Okay, let me address a couple of things, though, Tim.
It for real works. I've done it before.
No, I'm just saying, I understand it, but black folks, if we buy some Dawn because it's expensive, we ain't finna waste it on spraying no flies and no wasps.
Or no wasp. It's cheaper than wasp spray.
Dawn, I'll use some Ajax dishwashing liquid or the one that starts with a P, the green one, the yellow one, or whatever. I'm not using my Dawn on that. And then on top of that, but mole, I thought they were dead. When I thought they were extinct.
Moles? Oh no,
Yeah.
There's moles all over the place. Ground
I ain't
moles.
seen as old as I am, I ain't seen a mole in my life. I haven't seen a big rat or a possum, but moles. But I'm just saying that's done. That's a good idea though. But bros ain't using no done to spray wasp and moles. It's a sin.
What do you do with the big old flying bugs you got down there?
Tim, half of us don't even have done. We have like dishwashing liquid. We have like the dry powder we wash dishes with. We trying to wash dishes slipping out of our hand. Cause when we run out the yellow stuff or the green stuff. Cause Dawn is always blue. We
Right.
use some powdered dishwashing liquid and wash dishes with it. We don't.
There's what.
Dawn? That's a luxury.
Dawn's a luxury. Why waste Dawn on that stupid
Tim, I
bug?
bought some Dawn the other day, and then I slept with that shit. I'm like, ain't no some fucking my Dawn.
Don't be touching my Dawn.
I rarely buy it. I buy the yellow stuff, the green stuff, and that's the cheap stuff. It costs $2.50. The Ajax, or the other one start with a P. But Dawn, if I get Dawn, that means I'm balling.
You got to raise. You got to bump and pay, huh?
Yeah, you can clean up an STD with some Dawn. I'm like,
Well, anyhow, for those of you who can afford the hack,
you get some bad cooch or something, put some Dawn on it. They clean that right up. They clean that duck up.
It takes care of everything, and it really does work.
Yeah,
I can testify that, it does work. Hey, let's move on.
That's a good idea, though.
Let's move on. I got one of your favorite parts, Larry. The Asshole Award. And how about we take a peek?
Well, we begin tonight with new developments in the heartbreaking incident at a daycare in the Bronx where one child died and 3 others were hospitalized after showing symptoms of exposure to opioids.
This is video of 36-year-old Gray Mendez, the daycare owner, walking out of the 52nd precinct in handcuffs. You can see a serious look on her face. She did not look up at the cameras earlier today. 41-year-old Carlisto Acevedo Brito kept his head down as police walked him out of the same precinct also earlier today. Police allege 1-year-old Nicholas Dominici died after exposure to drugs at Divino Niño Daycare. 3 other children were also exposed, according to the NYPD. Police were called to the daycare Friday afternoon. The children, according to detectives, were unresponsive. All of them treated with Narcan, which is used to reverse drug overdoses in life-threatening situations. The surviving children are still in the hospital. The duo arrested by the NYPD after a search warrant was executed at the daycare. Detectives say they found 1 kilo of fentanyl and 3 kilo presses, essentially drug paraphernalia, inside the apartment that the daycare was operating out of, and that Brito was renting a room in that apartment. Mendez's attorney says she had nothing to do with it.
Of course, she had nothing to.
A
kilo of
fentanyl.
fentanyl. A kilo of fentanyl. Do you know how much that's? Okay, a kilo. Wait a minute. That's 3.5 pounds, right?
Damn. They selling drugs and watching kids.
I'm like 3.5 pounds of that shit.
And how could you be dumb enough to let the kid?
Right.
I'm like, for one thing, you're dumb enough to sell it. All right. And on top of that, you dumb enough to let it expose the kids to it. And those aren't even your kids.
That's just.
Golly.
Yeah, they need to be locked up and the key thrown away. That's just stupid. Just stupid beyond stupid.
That's stupid. It's just. I can't explain words, but it's a lot of things you can say past stupid, but that's the most ridiculous, the most uncaring, selfish thing I ever heard in my life. You killing somebody else's kids because you want to just make sure you push your drugs and let them get exposed to the drugs. Come on, man. You bad enough already selling drugs and watching kids in the same place. You can't separate both of them.
Oh, apparently not right. Apparently, no, they can't. Here, let me get into Larry E. here a second here, buddy. And you know what? Let's give him some words of wisdom, Larry.
Hey, check this out. LRE Fitness Solutions. Check me out on IG. You can also check me out on Facebook, LRE Fitness Solutions. We keep you moving. Also, check me out on Yelp, YELP. I got a page on there I'm promoting. Check me out on that to book me or get some training in the Grand Prairie area. You know, I can travel a little bit. So check me out, IG, Yep. Type it in, YELP, personal trainer, and then check me out on Instagram, Facebook, LRE Fitness Solutions. We keep you moving. Tip for the week. Simple as this. Exercise. You have to get some rest. Now, sleeping at night is very important. At least 8 hours of sleep, depending on how hard you work out or how hard you train or whatever you do. Make sure you get some rest. And then sometimes, if you have time, get that midday nap. Get that midday nap, even if you have to come home and get a nap before you go exercise. If you got to rejuvenate yourself a little bit, you want to get a midday nap if possible. But make sure you get the proper amount of rest that you need after a workout and prior to a workout or training session. Because your body needs to recover so it can rebuild that muscle and rebuild everything. Because basically when you train and exercise, you're working your body down, breaking your muscles down, and that's the way it builds it up, and you get it ready for your next training. You're training your body to be broken down and built up. Resting builds your body up, builds your muscles. It helps out. Get the rest, take a nap. LRE Fitness Solutions, we keep you moving. Facebook, IG, and Yelp, YELP. Check me out.
They're checking you out, man. Hey, as we discussed a whole bunch of things tonight, you know, we talked about Project 25, a little bit about the, you know, what their idealism is, what's going on around the world. And I'm not, you know, saying anything one way and or the other to, you know, to sway a person Republican and or Democratic, or even if you're an independent voter. All I'm saying is think about it. And think about the particular philosophy of the individual that you're going to be putting into office, along with the age of the individual. It seems to also be a topic of today. And I think it may be a time to put a new generation of leaders in our governmental offices. And hopefully, you know, they bring some good ideals. And again, you know, I think our whole particular nation was, you know, founded on freedom. So let's keep that one in mind. You know, don't forget that this is why we're here to begin with, is freedom. Amen, Larry?
Amen. Deion Sanders, baby. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Shout out to Deion Sanders, what he's doing in Colorado. He's doing a great thing, man.
Man, you know, I was thinking, and I would like to do a quick research on this, how much the swag, or, you know, for Colorado colleges went up in price, or in demand, or even.
Right.
How many people are now sporting that, you know, jersey now because, you know, Coach Prime's there.
Yeah, Coach Prime, baby. You got to root for him. No matter what anybody says about the guy. I used to watch Colorado back in the day, and they were pretty good back then.
Yeah,
and they were horrible for a long time. He has rejuvenated that school, that community.
Were they part of the Mountain West originally? Is that right?
Huh?
Were they part of the Mountain West?
I think so, because they play against Colorado,
like Montana
State,
University,
Wisconsin.
That kind of stuff.
They got two big games coming up, which I think it's going to be it's going to be tough. Too tough.
Be interesting to see how they fare this year. But anyhow,
you got to love his enthusiasm and his word and the way he motivates people to move forward. Incredible. But he's always been like that. A lot of people don't know Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. He's always been like that. Love it.
He's always been flash.
He's always been like that, man. And he took a program that was dead.
If you'd like to see one of his homes, look back at on the Queen Silver Show, or just type in the Queen Silver Show in YouTube, and you'll see some videos. And there was a video that I was in. It's called Racist Father, and that was shot at his home.
Gotta love him. He's doing a great thing over there in Colorado.
He's a very generous individual.
I used to love Colorado back in the day.
Yeah, because he supports independent filmmakers down there, and he'll let them come into his place and do some filming. And yeah, it's a beautiful crib.
Cool.
But in any regard, hey, until next week, we're going to be out of here, and we're going to leave you with just a little short video, a cartoon entertainment for your pleasure, and we'll see you next week, gang. Bye.
Colorado.
And no matter what the woke mob or those liberal professors try to tell you, believe it when I say this country was founded by Christian followers of the Lord Jesus Christ. And that makes this a Christian nation. Not Muslim, not atheist, but Christian. This means that the church should run the government, not the other way around, and that the Bible should be the law of the land and not the Constitution.
So let me get this straight. You want to replace all the laws in the United States with the laws in the Bible?
Yes, it's what the founding fathers wanted.
So what are we talking? Laws from the Old and New Testament, or just the New?
The entire Bible is the inerrant Word of God, so that would be the whole Bible from Genesis to Revelations.
Well, damn. Now I have to unalive you.
What in God's name are you talking about?
You don't recognize me, but we go way back, Sharon. Before I was Maddie Green, I was Andre Green. Back in our high school days, we used to play online Call of Duty. And I distinctly recall you screaming into your headset. And I quote, "Damn it, Mom, I can't pause the fucking game right now."
So, I was a teenager.
Exactly. And pursuant to Exodus 21:17, which says, "And he who curses his father or his mother shall surely be put to death." I gotta take you out. Oh, why the long face? I'm just following the word of the Lord. Now where did I put those stones?